This is Jonah from Typewriter Minutes, and I like buttery biscuits. This is Ailey from Typewriter Minutes, and I like buttery popcorn.
This is Eli from Typewriter Minutes, and I like buttery waffles.
This is Sam from Typewriter Minutes, and I like buttery smooth typewriters. Today, we're reviewing a 1966 Hermes 3000. On the internet, people frequently talk about its buttery smooth typing action. Today, we're going to put it to the test. Is it an overpriced, overrated, overhyped typewriter, or a buttery smooth Swiss engineering marvel? At the end of the video, please let us know your opinion in the comments down below. Before 1966, the Hermes 3000 was more roundish shaped, like you may recognize. It did kind of look like a curvy, smooth blob of butter. In 1966, they made it more angular, but it did keep these smooth, buttery green keys.
We've typed on prior versions of the Hermes 3000, the curvy one, and mechanically they're the same. At least we've not noticed any difference. One thing they did change on this version is that they labeled what the top row keys are for. In the earlier version, they had pictures there. I don't know if they thought it was just too confusing, but they finally labeled these buttons: the backspace, tab set, tab clear, all clear, which means it clears all the tabs at once, margin release, and tab.
In addition to the standard keyboard, it also has a touch control on the front,
For lighter or heavier touch typing,
and a ribbon color selector. It's interesting to note that this has one more setting than most typewriters do. Red is for red, blue is for black, and yellow is pretty interesting.
the yellow setting does half and half, which we'll show you on the typing test. If you do all caps, for example, it'll do half one color, half the other. Or if you're using a solid color ribbon, you can use that part of the ribbon to get extra life out of your ribbon.
And the white is just stenciled. Don't pay attention to that one.
Unless you're into stencils.
The Hermes 3000 was made in Switzerland. Now, Switzerland is known for its fine engineering. If their engineers were so great, why did they put the touch control right there?
The problem that we've seen is that, at least on the internet and a lot of machines that I've seen in person, this part of the ribbon cover, and over here as well, this part of the ribbon cover, often the paint is chipped off, and I think that's because people weren't careful when they removed the ribbon cover and it banged the keys right there. So I don't know about those Swiss engineers. They could have made that a little bit better so as not to scratch up the ribbon cover.
The basket shift has a nice light touch, which is easy on the pinkies. And over here, it looks like the Swiss engineers had a little fun, because instead of the typical U shape, it looks like they went skiing in the Swiss Alps. Now, we're going to quickly show you how to properly put the ribbon cover back on.
So the ribbon cover has these little tabs on the bottom. You want to put them, back up Mr. Cameraman, behind the metal right there. Hold this with your thumbs, put it in nice and gentle. Goes just like that.
Now, we're going to show you some of the features on the side.
Okay, over here,
Is the platen knob. Again, if the Swiss engineers were so great, why are they almost always cracked?
so we've noticed in machines I've seen in person and on the internet, these platen knobs are frequently cracked, so I guess they must have used a really brittle form of plastic. Both of mine on each side were cracked when we got them, but we have it glued together and it's not very noticeable.
And here is the carriage release.
Yeah, you would think that one of these silver knobs would be the carriage release, but it's actually disguised as this green button, which allows you to slide it back and forth. Down on the bottom, you have the carriage centering lever, so if you're ready to put it in the case, just push down here, gently go forward, and it stops. When you're ready to move it out, push it down, out comes the carriage. Up top here is the paper release lever and the paper bail. And next we're going to show you probably the the unique feature on the Hermes 3000, which is a red ribbon in the paper bail, which is adjusted with this lever right here.
You'll notice that the paper bail is actually hollow. On this side, there's a red ribbon with a spring attached to it.
If you look in there, you can see a little spring that connects from there
To over here, where there's another red ribbon.
and then that ribbon actually continues back inside the machine and crisscrosses.
Why did the Swiss engineers have to make this so complicated?
Well, here's what they did. The ribbon actually moves and is adjustable so that you can see where your margins are set in front of the paper. It's kind of counterintuitive on how to do this, but you can, for example, the left margin is currently set at 10. So you push the the carriage release buttons, which are these green buttons, move it all the way to the left, and it stops at the margin. And then while you're holding that button in, with this hand, over here, you flip the little silver lever and hold it, and you'll see that that ribbon changes position so that you could slide it up to 30, 20, or 10, and you can see where your margin is. Same thing on the right. If you move the carriage all the way over to the right till it stops, and then while I'm holding the carriage release button on the left, there's a little silver knob back behind here. This one, Mr. Cameraman. And as I flip that knob, you can see as I move the carriage, the ribbon adjusts. 60, 70, 80, we'll leave it on about 85. So it's kind of a neat feature that you can see where the margins are while you're typing. I don't know if it was worth all that complication, but it's kind of a nifty feature anyway.
Before we go to the back of the machine, here's the margin setting that allows you to move the red ribbon.
So that's what I was pulling just a minute ago to set the margins. Okay, now we'll go to the back of the machine. It's got cool little paper support chrome dingamadoodads that come up. Kind of neat looking. These are easy to get bent. Make sure these are down before you put them in the case. Down here you have the Hermes made in Switzerland blah 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 stuff. And then over here on this side, again, cracked platen knob, carriage release button, margin lever for that red ribbon. And then finally, right over here, we have the paper guide. And here's how you set the spacing, single, double, and then all the way on that position, platen moves freely. So if you're filling out a form, move this all the way that way.
Before the typing test, you might want to note that this platen on a Hermes 3000, besides diamonds, is the hardest substance known to mankind.
I don't know why they couldn't have used rubber like the Remingtons of that vintage used, because the Remington platens are almost always soft. These are almost always hard as diamonds. Okay, now for a paper test. The best results, you probably shouldn't type on a Lazy Susan, but we're going to try it anyway. Now I have a custom purple and orange ribbon in here, courtesy of Typewriter Justice. And first we're going to show you on the black setting, which is actually green setting. The typing on this is actually fairly quiet, and it's kind of a snick, snick, snick instead of a rat-a-tat-tat. So it is kind of buttery smooth like that. It has a little bit of a buttery smooth feel. Let's move to the red setting, which is all the way on top. This has kind of a cool, I think it's called senatorial font. And the purple and orange really pops. So thank you, Typewriter Justice.
Now we'll do a quick alignment test.
Okay.
Capital H, small h. 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 Capital H, small h.
Let's zoom in on that, Mr. Cameraman. That is about perfect. Very nice. Ooh.
Now we're going to do the yellow setting, which is actually halfway between the two colors.
So you can see, you get a little bit of purple, a little bit of orange, types on the middle of the ribbon, so you can extend the life of your ribbon by putting it on the yellow setting.
Now for some likes and dislikes. One thing I like about it is the button feel and shape. I also just like buttons, period. Another thing is the color, which is technically called seafoam green, but we like to call it mint green. We like this cool
Senatorial font.
and the orange and purple ribbon, and the buttery typing feel.
Dislikes, is it over-engineered maybe a little bit? The thing in the paper bale with the margins is kind of cool, but I've seen, I don't know how many Hermes 3000s with busted ribbons, and they're hard to fix, so that's one dislike. The brittle platen knobs, those are kind of a pain to glue. Fortunately, with some advances in 3D printing that I'm reading on the internet, people are starting to print platen knobs. So whoever first figures out the color for this green platen knob, they're going to be able to make a fortune by selling fixed Hermes 3000 platen knobs. And then finally, I would say these are not easy for the hobbyist repairman like me. Getting the bottom cover off is a little bit difficult, and there's a lot of things inside that are easy to mess up if you're trying to fix it. For example, when you take the bottom cover off, the bell is easy to, if you put the typewriter down wrong, to break the bell. So you have to be very careful when you're taking this machine apart. That's it for likes and dislikes.
We'll wrap up this typewriter review with the case.
Now, these come in a couple different materials. This one is in really good shape. It's got a little thingamabob here to hold your papers. And what you do is you just put this carefully into the back of the machine. And then it just snaps on. And then when you tilt it up to carry it, the bottom of the typewriter is actually part of the case. So there's the rubber feet that are still in really good shape. And you're ready to take your Hermes 3000 off to Switzerland.
That's all for now on Typewriter Minutes. Be sure to share, link, like, and subscribe. Bye-bye.